The new rules of email marketing, communicating with your tribe in 2015. Hey folks, the rules of email are constantly changing, and if you want to keep up to date on how to get emails into your prospects' inbox, how to get more out of your email, how to increase the ROI of your email efforts, then you are in exactly the right place today, because I'm going to show you how to do that. Hey, my name is Neil Christensen. My company is EmailSplat, and I work with clients to increase the, just what I said, increase the ROI of their email using such things as automation, copywriting, whatever it takes to get more results for them out of their email. I primarily work with coaches and consultants who use automated email systems to run membership courses, sell info products, book consulting time with their clients. So what are we going to learn today? Well, we're going to learn these new rules of email marketing, and when I think of communicating with the tribe, I kind of think of Braveheart, like I showed there. Mel Gibson running up and down the line in Braveheart and communicating with his tribe, shouting it out. So to continue kind of with that theme, in 2015, ye shall, these are going to be our new rules for getting the most out of email marketing. 2015, ye shall be mobile friendly, and we're going to go through that. What does that mean? You're going to give consistent and frequent updates. We're going to talk about how often you send an email. We're going to provide relevant content. It's no more about just blasting out newsletters to people. People want things more tailored for them, and we're going to talk about how you do that. And the big one, in 2015, ye shall not vomit on thy customers and prospects. This one drives me nuts. We're going to get into what that means and how you can keep from vomiting on your prospects, because you definitely do not want to do that. It's really messy. All right, before we get into those rules, let's just take a step back and just say, why email? A lot of people say to me, aren't Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest better? Isn't that where I should be spending my time? Aren't those better for my marketing efforts? Those are, of course, the new hot things. Maybe they're not so new. Maybe they're not even so hot anymore, but that's what people look to when they try to increase the ROI of their marketing. But I say that they kind of go together like peanut butter and jelly, social and email. It's kind of two halves of the same sandwich. You need both to make your marketing efforts work, and they really complement each other. But there's differences. So let's take a look at why you might use email over social. 91% of Americans use email daily. Only 71% are even on Facebook. 23% even on Twitter. Not saying they're using them daily, just even on those platforms. So Americans use email. If you're marketing to the American audience, email is definitely the way to go. Email promotes purchases at 3 times the rate of social media. Studies have shown that email gets people to take action. Social media is a great way to introduce yourselves to somebody, but it's not a great way to push someone to action. That's what email does. It pushes people to action. 44% of consumers made a purchase because of an email. Have you ever woke up in the morning not intending to buy anything that day, and then there was an email in your inbox from Amazon and you bought something? I've done it. Many times I've done it. Had no interest in a product. Wasn't even on my radar, and then I ended up buying it. 77% of consumers prefer to receive marketing messages through email. We want to find our marketing messages on our inbox, not in our social feed. When we go to Facebook, where we're there for fun, we're there to learn about what our relatives are doing, what our high school friends are doing. We are not there to be marketed to. We don't like that. We'd rather that we got our marketing messages in our inbox. Experian, the credit company, they found for every dollar they spent on email marketing, they got back $44.25. That is a huge return on investment. All right, let's get into that first rule. In 2015, ye shall be mobile friendly. How many of you woke up like this morning? Rolled over, and the first thing you did was grab that phone and start checking your email, checking your social feed. 66% of emails are now opened on a mobile device. More than 2/3 of emails. We're headed towards 100% of email being opened on a mobile device. If your email is not mobile friendly, you're not getting read by 2/3 of your audience. Smartphone open rates peak at 6 a.m. because of exactly this. People roll over and check their email at 6 a.m., but they're not really reading their email at 6 a.m. I don't know about you, but when my eyes are half open, I'm really not functioning. What I'm really doing is I'm using my mobile phone as email triage. I am going through and I'm looking for those important emails. If your email does not pass the triage test, it's going to get deleted. Because when I'm laying in there in bed at 6 a.m., I'm going delete, delete, delete. Oh, that's kind of interesting. I'll save that for later. Oh, that's a crisis. Maybe I should open that up and look at it right now. That's kind of the 3 levels. Delete, save for later, take action right away. And you want your emails to end up in the take action right away, or at the very least save for later. You don't want them to end up in the delete, delete, delete. So how do you get your email to pass the triage test? Well, when dealing with mobile, we have about 150 characters to convey to somebody that they need to open this email and read it. A lot of people talk about the subject line, talk about the importance of the subject line, but there's actually 3 areas here that we're going to get people to open our email. The first being the sender name, and you have about 20 characters there on a mobile device to get them to open that email, to trust you. And that's really the name of the game behind the sender, is you want to be consistent with that sender name because you want to build trust over time. If every week you send out an email, it comes from a different person within your company, or you send it from you personally, then your company, it confuses people. They don't know. They want to get used to one name. For me personally, there's a couple names that when they show up in that inbox, when they show up in that sender line, I'm going to open that email every time. Doesn't matter what the subject line is. The subject line could be ballerina cats, and I'm still going to open the email if it's coming from my mom or it's coming from my wife, because those two, you know, they're going to ask you later, hey, did you see the email I sent you? Even if the subject line is completely stupid, you're still going to have to read that email. So I contend that the subject of the sender is probably the most important of the 3 things we have to work with when it comes to whether or not somebody's going to open that email. Next, you've got the subject line. Subject line about 30 characters. You really want to use that subject line to build some curiosity, to get people to open that email. You know, today if you stopped at the gas station on your way home from work or your way to an appointment or whatever, and you went into the gas station and you looked down at the rack there and you saw all these newspapers laying there, you would not be excited about one that said July 2015 newsletter. That would not cause you to reach down and pick up that newspaper. Dog saves 2-year-old boy from drowning, that you're curious about. You want to reach down and you want to buy that paper. Same goes for your subject line. Your subject line is your headline, just like a newspaper, and that's got to build that curiosity to get people to open the email. You've got to give them a reason to open it, and the date is not a reason to open the email. That is the least interesting thing about whatever you're sending out, is the date. So stop using dates. You want to build some curiosity in your subject line. Next, you've got about 100 characters for preview text. And on some of the newer phones, they're getting bigger. We have a little more room for preview text, but everybody forgets about the preview text. In most email programs, it's grabbing the first line or 2 of the email you wrote and using that as your preview text. My big pet peeve is having trouble viewing this email showing up in the preview text. Nothing says spam like having trouble viewing this email. It just says to me garbage. I don't need to open that. It's not going to pass my triage test. Immediately I smell a marketing message, I smell garbage, and I'm going to delete it. Maybe the first 2 might, the sender and the subject line might pique my curiosity enough to open it, but that's definitely going to have negative points if I see having trouble viewing this email. How many of you have actually had trouble viewing an email since about 1998? We just don't have this anymore. Stop putting that at the top of your emails. If you really feel the need to have that in there, you can put it lower in the email, but don't make it the first thing showing up in the preview text. It's just a big turnoff. You're not going to pass the triage test. If you do pass the triage test, somebody actually opens their email, please don't make it look like this. This is blown up from actual size and I still can't read it. It's so tiny. Just about every email provider now has some sort of mobile friendly template in their emails. Make it mobile friendly, make it so that I can read it without having to do the pivot, pinch, zoom dance where I got to pivot my phone, pinch, zoom in, and then scroll back and forth to read the email. This is an actual email that showed up in my inbox. I opened it because I was curious and then immediately deleted it without reading anything because I couldn't, and I don't have time for this. This is the kind of thing that I'm not going to read at my desk while I'm working. I'm going to read this while I'm in line at the grocery store. That's when they've got a chance to market to me. I'm not going to go through all the trouble of zooming in and doing all that. It's just not that interesting to me. It's going to get deleted. So make sure that your emails are mobile friendly. Next, in 2015, ye shall give consistent and frequent updates. I was having a conversation with a prospective client a few months back, and they were talking about, I asked them how often they emailed their list, and they said, "Oh, I don't like to bug people. I try not to do more than 3 or 4 a year." To which I was just completely blown away. 3 or 4 emails a year, that is not bugging people. But they said, "Hey, I don't like to bug people." If you and I met at a networking event and we had a brief conversation, talked for a few minutes, then we went about our separate ways. Well, what if the next day you went out and you met 71 new people? You had 71 interactions with other people. And then the following day, you had another 71 interactions with people. Maybe not new people, maybe it's people you already knew, but you were just communicating with 71 people again on that second day. And then the third day, you had another 71 conversations. And the fourth day, the fifth day, and you did this for an entire month. You had 71 conversations, interactions with people each day. And then on that 30th day, you and I ran into each other at Starbucks. I was in line, you were in line behind me. Would you remember me? After all those other people you had met, would you remember me? Or would you say, "Oh, that guy looks so familiar. Why do I know him? Who is he? I met him somewhere before." Well, the average American gets 71 emails per day. Now, that doesn't even include the spam emails. That's the legitimate emails. The average American gets 71 emails a day. And if you're dealing with somebody in the corporate environment, they get even more than that. That's 2,130 emails a month they get in their inbox. Now, if I send you an email once every 3 months, do you think I'm bugging you? That would be one of 6,300, 6,400 emails? You wouldn't even remember me. You wouldn't even remember me out of the 1 out of 2,000 emails. No, you need to be more frequent than this with your emails. Because just like us meeting at that networking event, if we didn't follow it up the next week, the next day, and say, "Hey, you want to get together for coffee now?" and we get to know each other and we bond a little bit, we'd never know each other. I've made friends through networking events that now I know them very well, and we go out to dinner and they know my wife and all this. But that didn't happen because we met one time at a networking event. It happened because we worked on building that relationship, and you need to do the same thing with your email. That's why consistency and frequency, it leads to fewer spam complaints, not more. It leads to fewer. Because if I only send you once every 3 or 4 months, you don't remember me. You mark me as spam. But if I'm sending to you frequently, you go, "Oh, hey, it's that guy." And yes, people may unsubscribe, but you're less likely to have spam complaints and even unsubscribes by being frequent and by setting up expectations with your list. It also leads to a more engaged tribe because we're building this relationship. You know me, you know about me. If I'm only sending something to you 3 or 4 times a year, it's a very one-way communication. There is no engagement, there is no tribe. It's just me spitting up something once a quarter. In 2015, ye shall provide relevant content. When I give this presentation at Chamber of Commerce events or at like a Rotary meeting or different kind of networking events, I have to be very generic in the way I speak because I don't know exactly who's in the audience. There's many different types of people in the audience, but I have to look across the audience and kind of treat them as one generic business person. I have to make the stories relevant to them in kind of a generic kind of way. But if I could actually sit down and I could take all the bankers in the room and have a meeting with them at 11 o'clock, and then at noon have a meeting with all the realtors, and then at 1 I had a meeting with anybody that had a retail store, and then later the coaches and consultants, if they could come in, I could tailor that presentation to each one of those groups. I could talk to the banker about how they're selling mortgage products and how they have first-time buyers versus refis. Same thing with the realtor. I could talk to them about how they have buyers versus sellers, how they could talk to their partners, their mortgage banker. With the retailers, I can make very specific examples for them. And the same thing goes with the business coach. I could talk about how to actually get clients as a business coach, as opposed to treating everybody as one homogeneous mass, just business person. I could break this up and make it much more interesting. Well, the beautiful thing about technology today and email is that you can do the same thing with your email list. You can segment and target your list based on a number of different parameters. Now I use a system called tagging. So I tag each one of the contacts in my list with different keywords that tell me what they're about, and then I can talk to them individually. For instance, I have a tag called leads. So anybody that comes into my system that is not a client, they're just a lead, I can tag them as a lead, because I don't want to talk to my clients the same way I talk to my leads. My clients have already bought from me. My leads haven't, so I'm going to talk to them differently. Same goes with my clients. I'm going to talk to them differently. If I'm going out of town, I want to easily be able to email all my clients and say, hey, I'm going to be off next week. I'm going to be offline. If you need anything, let me know. I wouldn't want my leads to get that. They don't care. That would be a waste of their time. I also have a tag in my system called Ontraport. So some people come in specifically because they want help with a platform called Ontraport. So I'm going to tag them as being an Ontraport user. I might also tag them as being a MailChimp user or an Aweber user, so I can talk to them differently because they're going to have different questions and challenges with using email. There's a number of different ways you can organize your subscribers on your list. You can go by interests, by geography, demographics, male, female, over 50, under 50, kind of the boring old demographics. But the really interesting one is to be able to tag them by their actions. Actually by what they do, not by what they say. We're going to get into that in a little moment here. But here, first of all, here's an interesting one from Frank Kern. I signed up for one of his lists, and he immediately sent me to a survey and asked, what type of business do you have? Well, here he is going to segment me. He is going to tag me, segment me, so he can talk to me differently. He'll probably send me, I think I picked consulting coaching. So he will tag me as a consultant, and he will talk to me differently. He will probably send me case studies about how his program works great for a consultant. And then he's going to send the same thing to somebody in e-commerce, but he's going to talk about how his program works great for e-commerce. Survey is a great way to be able to segment your list. Now, we talked about by actions. Here's the powerful one, the big behemoth in the room, Amazon. If you want to know how to use email, watch what Amazon does. Have you ever went to Amazon and looked at something, here's an example, I went and looked at lens filters for my camera. I didn't buy one. The next day, I got an email from Amazon that says, hey, looking for something in lens filters? You might be interested in one of these. Perfect. They are answering the question that I'm trying to answer. I'm trying to find a lens filter. They know this because I'm searching for lens filters on their website. And they give me the information I'm looking for right there. Some people will say this is creepy. This is not creepy. This is answering the question that your customer has in the back of their head. The answer that they're trying to find, you're just providing the information. You're making it very relevant for them. This is exactly what they want in an email. Again, Amazon, I bought coffee on Amazon, and they said, hey, people that bought this kind of coffee also might like to buy this kind of coffee. They're giving me options. They're just presenting the information for me. Amazon does a great job of behavioral segmenting of email. They are taking your actions and basing your interaction with them off of what you do, not what they say. Amazon didn't decide one day, hey, we're going to have a sale on coffee and we're going to send it out to everybody. No, they said, Neil bought coffee. I bet Neil would like more coffee. And I got this email. Not everybody, me. It's very specific to me. So with this segmenting, you can serve your subscribers based on their needs, not on your calendar. So this isn't about, hey, I want to send out a newsletter today. This is about your prospect having questions and you're answering it. So it's triggered by your prospect's actions. It's a one-to-one communication, so it's very relevant to them. It's where they're at right now in your buying process. And the beautiful thing is you can send the same series of emails over and over again, and they will be new to the new person. So I have a couple of niches where I wrote emails 18 months, 24 months ago, and they're still going out today to somebody brand new on my list that has no idea that that email's been going out for 24 months. It's, as NBC used to say about reruns, if you haven't seen it, it's new to you. So that's exactly how this works. These automated emails, if they haven't seen them, it's brand new to them. It's very relevant for them. One of the great ways you can use automation is a welcome or introduction sequence for new prospects. So they come into your email system and you immediately start to build that bond. Remember we said frequency? You can immediately start to build that bond by sending out a series of emails that introduces yourself, starts to build that relationship. The other one that's great that a lot of people forget about is new client onboarding. So you have a client come into your system, whatever that might be. Well, having a series of emails that goes out that tells them what to expect next is great for customer user experience. You know, they get to feel like you're really taking care of them, you're answering their questions, you're one step ahead of them. Just remember, in the prospect's mind, in your client's mind, when they first sign up, they're excited. You know, they've given you their money or they've given you a commitment, they've signed a contract, whatever that might be. They're excited, they want to move forward. And in their mind, the big question, what's the big question they have in their mind? What's next? And that's what you can send to them. And you answer that question, and then immediately the next question in their mind, what's next? So if you could just keep thinking, what's next, and you send that out in a series of emails, kind of keep one step ahead of your new customer, they're going to think you're a genius. They're going to think that you're really taking care of them, and you are. That's the beautiful part about it. That's the great thing about a client onboarding sequence. Here's what an actual system might look like inside of an automated email system. This is a system completely about onboarding new clients. As a new client comes into the system looks to see which product they bought. There's several products they could have bought, and then it's going to put them on a list based on what they bought and start sending them emails to tell them what to expect next, to ask for referrals, to continue to buy. Some of these are continuity programs, and we're constantly asking them to, hey, remember, we're great, keep buying from us, don't leave. There's also systems in here that if somebody stops buying for whatever reason, we're going to come back and ask them weeks later or days later to come back. You know, you stopped buying. Why did you? You know, come on back. Here's a deal if you come back today. And we're going to make these different offers to them over time based on what they did. So this whole system is built on what the client has done. It's not about the business. It's about the client. And this is a very real example of something I built in somebody's automated email system. In 2015, ye shall not vomit on thy customers and prospects. This is my favorite one because I love to talk about vomit, I guess. I don't know. This is how people typically sit down to write an email. They sit down, they say, oh, I got to get an email out. What should I write about? And they sit down and they start typing. And they type, and they type, and they type, and they type, and they type. And it just keeps going and going and going. Before you know it, they've got 15 different calls to action, 30 different photos in this email, just so much information. And I call this vomiting on your customer. It's like you sat down on the keyboard and just puked up everything you ever knew about the subject and sent it out to someone. And just like when you were a kid and you were going to be sick, and your mom, she would hand you something to be sick into. You know, what did she hand you? She handed you that garbage can, and there it is. That's right where this email is going. It's going right in the garbage because it's just way too much information. People get overwhelmed with this much content, and that's why I say the newsletter is dead. The newsletter is not interesting to people anymore. It's more about targeted, relevant content. You don't see Amazon sending out a newsletter every week to tell you about the 500 things they have on sale. No, they target it for you specifically. Here is an actual example of an email I got that is the ultimate in vomit mail. Now it's a little hard to see because that's about 600 pixels wide and probably 5,000, I don't know, way more, probably more than 5,000 pixels long. And actually it went on longer than this. This is all I could fit in the one screenshot. An outrageous email. It had 96 unique images. It was a 3 meg file size that I had to download. If I'm on mobile and I'm downloading this at the grocery store, I hate you. You know, I'm on a mobile plan. I don't want to download a 3 meg email with 96 images. It's also got 83 separate calls to action. If I blow this up, you can see right here in the top, I've got listen and learn, click here to find out, share this, visit the website. All here above the fold, I've got so many different options of what to do. This is the ultimate in email overload. There's no possible way I know what to do. I am not going through all that. Scroll down some more, we got buy now, share this, donate, like, watch, share. So much content. All right, so let me talk to you about the JAM study here, which will illustrate this point of too many options. I don't know if you're familiar with the JAM study, but it's kind of marketing legend, the JAM study now. And it was done back, I believe, in the early 90s. And they had this theory that the more options they gave to someone, the more they would buy. So they said, hey, if we gave people this huge selection of jam to choose from, we're going to sell more because they're going to be able to find one that they like and they're going to purchase it. To test this theory, they went to a grocery store and they had 2 different displays. They had a display of only 6 flavors of jam, and then they had a display of 30 flavors of jam. And they would rotate these displays each hour. So the first hour they showed 6, the next hour they showed 30, then they went back to 6, 30, 36, you know, and went back and forth all day long to see how these sold. You can probably guess where I'm going with this, but what they found out was that they sold way more jam when they only had 6 flavors on display than when they sold 30. Because people were overwhelmed by all the choices, couldn't make a decision, and chose nothing. And that's what people do when they get overwhelmed and can't make a decision. They choose nothing, and that's why they delete your email. Anyway, with this jam study, they found out that people actually purchased 10 times more jam when they were only given 6 options as opposed to the 30 options. So less is more when it comes to marketing and giving people choices and decisions. And that's why you need to stop the vomit mail, because your readers are overwhelmed. They don't know what to do, and therefore they're doing nothing. Instead, focus on what you want your subscribers to do after reading your email. You want one email, one goal. I like to say one email, one action. I want one call to action in each email. Instead of having that email with 15 separate calls to action, break it up into multiple emails, multiple calls to action. I'd rather get 15 different emails from you than one email with all this information. When you give me that 15 call to action email, it becomes my responsibility to sort through everything and see if I can find what's relevant to me. And I'm probably not going to, and I might even miss something that I would want to know about, but I can't find it in all that. Whereas if you sent me one email with one action, I can quickly decide, am I interested in that or not? And I might not be, but that's all right. Then I know, and you know, that I'm not interested in that, and I can move on. But then when you send me the email about something I am interested in, I can easily decide that yes, I'm interested in that, I want to know more. And I can take the action. Segmentation and automation make this so much easier to do, because you can break up your list, like we talked about earlier, serving up that information that somebody really wants, instead of making this 15 call to action email. That email should probably be broken up among different lists. It's probably not relevant to everyone on your list and you're trying to do a one size fits all, much better to break it up and get that one-to-one email. As opposed to that giant vomit mail I sent you, here's one I wrote for someone. It's 3 images, 107 words, and 1 call to action repeated 3 times. You can easily see here exactly what I want you to do. Reply to this email. Just hit reply. Remember, hit reply. You know exactly what I want you to do after reading this email. Hit reply, email us back. There's no question. It's simple to read, it's fast. If they're not interested, they can hit delete. They don't have to wade through all this information to find out what I'm trying to say. This email performs way better than the newsletters we send out. All right, so let's wrap all this back up. In 2015, ye shall be mobile friendly. We talked about that. Very important. 66% of emails opened on mobile now. Give consistent and frequent updates. More is not bad in this case. We want to build that relationship, especially in the beginning. We want to jump on it and give people that one-to-one interaction so that it actually becomes a relationship and it's not just a one-way send of information from you to your prospects. You want to provide relevant content. Let them tell you what they're interested in and then send content that is relevant to that. And the big one, not vomit on thy customers and prospects. One email, one action. All right, if you like this information today, you want to get more, my name is Neil Christensen, and I have for you checklists that you can get that will help you send emails that get results. And in that checklist, I've got 6 tricks to help you increase your open rate. Got some best practices so you can meet CAN-SPAM laws. Also some little known methods to get your email past spam filters. That's becoming more and more important these days, is how to get through spam filters. Google and Gmail are getting really good at locking down and keeping unwanted email out of people's inboxes, and you want yours to be wanted. Also the best time of day to send emails. All of this at emailsplat.com/get-results. Head on over there and you can download this free checklist.